Hello once again. I'm now about 75 hours into this game, so it seemed time for another update. And also because I've done stuff, rather than just arbitrary measures. So, come out here, you can see the iron building is now completely different from how it used to be. This is the new design for the iron smeltery, and I am now using 4 of these nodes. I haven't yet torn down this building, but there's nothing going into it anymore, so it's actually not doing anything, except... Actually no, it's not even wasting power because I've disconnected it. It's just sitting there. This is the logistics floor, which is now on the bottom of the building. Ground floor. And in here, each node comes in, each miner comes in, and we've got this double system where this goes up to a processing smelting floor, and this is the iron ingots coming out from that floor. And you can see the same heated over here, and over here, and over here with 3 miners, although this one's a little bit different as its elevator is over here, just to space things out a bit. Unfortunately, one of the downsides of having tall buildings like this, particularly if you do use a repeating pattern, is that you can't have your external elevators all in a nice line, in a nice repeating pattern, so there's a few little dodges here, like this. So this goes going up to the first processing floor here. This one's going up to the top processing floor, but because the input on that floor is actually in the middle, it has a little extra dodge over to the side here, inside there, which I'll show you in a moment. I don't quite like how clean these power lines are for each one. I've got the power for the miner, it's the only thing on that line, so if I really need to, I can disconnect the power for the miner just by disconnecting this cable here. I can disconnect the power for the processing floor just by disconnecting this cable here. And the power for the whole building just runs around the top like this. So technically it's placing more of these connectors than you really need to do, but which might maybe cause some lag. I don't quite know how that works, but I think in the end it's worth it, and I haven't noticed any lag, so it's all good. Over here I've got a quick entry into the processing line, processing floor inside the main base, which has also changed up quite a bit. Particularly this section here, which is where all the iron ingots come in and then go up to the processing floor in here, which I'll show off in a moment. But if we just go through here, see I've changed up all of the big foundations that I used to have like this into these things. This was just an experiment to try and get rails on the side of the foundations. It works, but it's a bit silly having these rails in the middle here, so I'm probably going to get rid of that and just stick with the standard foundations. Unfortunately, there isn't any other way to have these diagonal rails at the moment, but it was an interesting experiment. This is also an interesting experiment to just get a coloured panel for these platforms, which I quite like. I'll probably keep that. You can see in here, this floor has the exact same layout of the smelters, but the walkway runs the opposite direction, just to balance things out a bit. And on the opposite side, it's just a nice little lookout, so you can see everything going on. And yes, I did fix that pillar over there. This will be going away at some point, and I'll be doing some other stuff over there at some point, but I haven't decided what yet. One other feature of these smelting lines, which I haven't really decided yet whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, is that I have these cross-wired, I guess you could say. So you can see the iron ores coming up here and splitting off into the left and right into these 8 smelters here, because that's how many smelters you need for a 240 line. And the output of the smelters is coming over from here, but wait a minute, the mergers are in the middle here between these 8 machines and not those 8 machines. So this output line is actually not the output of this. It is half of the output of this and half of the output of this iron coming in over here. So you can see here this is the complete mirror image, these splitting off and going into these 8 machines, and the output of that cluster there is coming out into here. So again, this output is from this half of the machine, which is half of that and half of that. Now again, I haven't decided if that's a good thing or a bad thing. The interesting feature of that is that it means that if this line backs up because I've actually built everything that it needs to do, then it means that all of these machines are going to stop running, but that's actually still going to consume half of this miner's output and half of that miner's output. It's not going to stop the miner entirely. So that is obviously going to lead to more power usage, but it also potentially means that because some of these are going to still run, it means that there's a potential for some of the other miners to compensate over or something. I'm not, as I said, I'm not entirely sure if this is a good idea or not, but it seemed like an interesting thing to do. So here we are again, facing the storage, and you can see I've cleaned it up a little bit. I've put another sink up top here just to take away a few some of the load off the sink downstairs, and it's producing tickets at a reasonable pace. Not quite as much as it used to be, because I've actually I don't have all of the machines producing things yet. I've actually pulled a lot of stuff down because I'm in the middle of a big replacement right now. But over here you can see I've upgraded these first few things to the overflow system and the full stack. This one I haven't yet upgraded. This is going to be for the screws. I'm in the process of building the screw system right now. I haven't actually hooked it up to storage yet, and at the moment I don't have anything producing rotors and the other iron things yet, so I'm just working off what I've built before I reconstructed everything. But if we go back over here, now through here you can see there's a big wall where there used to be none before, and all the machines that were here are now gone. This is the new iron processing system. This is just temporary. It's just I had a bunch of extra things that from just deconstructing all the machines. So this here is the iron rod processing line. You can see it's producing, taking in the ingots and pumping iron rods all the way down here. This is what you can do with one node of a Mark II miner. So it's 240 ingots per minute, producing I think also 240 rods per minute out the other end. Quite a few constructors needed to do that. Through here we've got the system that is processing iron plates. I've actually got 2 lines of 240 coming in here, and that has to be split up into 2 separate systems because of the way the numbers work. So I've got 2 240 lines of plates going out through here. And what's happened over here? Disconnected the power somewhere. Oops. Not sure how that happened. I must have accidentally deconstructed something when I was moving things around. But never mind, all better. And again you can see this uses a round-the-top power system, which I quite like. Keep things all nice and contained. It's one of the main reasons why there's this wall here, although that also helps to divide the plate construction from the rod construction. This is actually the outside wall of the main base. I kind of regret putting the output there at the moment, although it kind of makes the outside of the base look a little bit interesting. You can see it from the outside here. It would kind of make more sense to have it in this wall, like I have for the the rods down there. And actually this system is also cross-wired like the other one. Like the ingot smelting is, if you can see here, I've got two lines of ingots coming in. One of them is just going off into there. This is one is going off into these machines. This one going off into these machines. But again, the merging is in the middle, and this cluster of machines goes out there. That cluster of machines goes out there. So these plate output lines are from two different nodes and two different lines of ingots. And again, I'm not sure if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but it sort of naturally fits in with the layout that I wanted to have in here, so it seemed worth a try. Another thing is that because of the sink, the iron plate production is never going to completely stop, because there's always somewhere for it to go. The insatiable beast, even if it will only produce a slower amount of production because everything's getting funneled through one line, so nothing will actually ever completely stop. So that's, I think, what makes it a little bit more sensible, but again, don't quote me on that necessarily. I'm not sure yet if it does completely make sense. It's just an idea. This is not all the things yet. Oh, here's an interesting, strange bit of physics for you. We come down here and just stand on this. Oh, we didn't quite make it up. But if we would fall on this, we do. Interesting that. So up here, I've got one more 240 line of iron ingots coming out here, and going into these three, not quite sure what to call this yet, but it is a pretty cool chain of constructors, if I do say so myself. Nice. It's a very, very compact system. I'm sure I'm not the first person to come up with this design, but I haven't seen this before. And it works really, really well. You can use this design for anything that works in constructors, and it's just a very nice 3-tile wide design. In fact, 1.5 or 2.5 tile design. Oh, I'm not sure how you class that. Maybe one and 2 halves, so 2-tile wide, I guess. Design, because these share the space in between, and this can be extended as long as you like. It is just a simple overflow system, obviously. There's no room for anything else in here, but this is not necessarily the most efficient thing, but yeah, that is nice and compact, and as I said, you can extend it as long as you like. In actual fact, for the screws, because I'm using an alternate recipe, there's actually a little bit of extra iron ingots left over, so I possibly need to route these off somewhere else at some point. I haven't quite decided, but so this produces 3 sets of about 200 per minute, I think, of screws. Which is way more than I need. And you can see them coming down here, and as you can see, I haven't actually hooked them up yet. So probably I'm going to hook one of these up to the storage system up here, but haven't got around to that yet. That's probably the next thing. Over here, this is where you can see the iron plates coming in, and I've just got a quick merge in there. So this belt actually is overflowing. It can't actually take as many items as this will merge onto it. Each of these is a 240, and this is not a 480 line, this is a 270 line. Unfortunately, I don't have the faster belts unlocked yet. So this is a bit silly at the moment, but the idea is that I'll be able to put some extra splitters on these and divert some of the plates off to do some other construction work. I've also tidied up a lot of the powering and so forth, and you can see I've done the same sort of thing here. I've put the power along the top line here and tried to make it nice clean offshoots where possible. And that's actually about it for the changes in here, although you can see I've unlocked a few more things in the store since I've got a few more tickets. But there is one other thing that I wanted to do before signing off today, That's in the meantime I've had some things building, and it's finally time to pull the switch. Now I'm sure anyone who's watching this video has probably seen this before, but it's just too cool not to record, so... And there it goes. Wow, I need so many of those things. Interesting, I did actually overproduce these a little bit. I miscalculated something, but not quite that much miscalculated. That's a lot more than I was expecting. There's a few new things there, which I'm sure is going to take a lot of effort, but... Now I've got tier 5 and 6. Yay! Finally jetpacks and trains. And oil, that's going to be a fun one to play with as well. But yeah, that's enough from me for now. Hope you have a satisfactory day.